Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, people of the internet. Happy Friday. Happy Labor Day weekend. We've got a little extra resting and recovery time this weekend, man. The blessing that comes around once a year. I trust that you are going to use it to its maximum capacity and make sure that you are present. Make sure that you are where your feet are. Make sure that you're focused on the most important things this Labor Day weekend. But before that, we still get through Friday, guys. Today on the G.R.O.W Show, your daily checkup from the neck up, we are going to be continuing and putting an exclamation point on our week of grit versus grace, this series that has been so great, so nice. Love all the feedback that I've been getting, and some of the feedback that I got yesterday around the grit and grace matrix was taking a deeper dive and explaining where different people may be, using different examples, and also ways to move from the different boxes to finally get to the guide. And so if you missed that yesterday, you're in the right spot, because we're going to dive into that together again today. Coach Kyle Evans, as always. Let's hop in and see what we can self-discover. So as we've been on this drive, as we've been on this path, this journey of understanding foundational principles of grit and grace and how to use them to our advantage, I've come up with this quite lovely, if you will, matrix of grit and grace. You see on the bottom, low grit to high grit. On the left-hand side, the left matrix, low grace to high grace. In each of those four quadrants represents a different character, a different archetype, a different spot on our journey. I truly believe that at some point in your life, you have touched or lived all of these characters. Unfortunately, one of them is the ghost, and we're going to dive into that together. So wherever you are, this episode, this deep dive, it's not about shame. It's not about judgment if you're not where you want to be. It's simply just about self-awareness. Because the first step to change, the first step to difference is understanding the predicament, the placement, the spot that we're in. So if we look at starting at the bottom there, the ghost, in my biased opinion, the absolute worst place in life to be. Who wants to be a ghost? And I'm not talking about Casper the Friendly Ghost, ladies and gentlemen. I'm talking about a sad, absent apparition of life. This is someone with low grit, low grace. They don't have the fire. They don't have the forgiveness. They don't have the rest. They don't have the intentionality. They don't have the effort. They're just going through the motions. There's a guy named Martin Seligman, and he talks about learned helplessness. Learned helplessness, to me at least, super real. Super real. I see it all the time. And I think if you guys started paying attention, you would notice it too, either in yourself or in others. It's people who stop trying because they believe that nothing that they do matters. They stop doing what they need to do because maybe of a failure, maybe of a wall they bounced against, maybe of inappropriate counsel of someone else keeping them stuck. They stop doing things because they truly believe that nothing matters anyway, or it's not going to work out anyway. The paralysis analysis, even. If we're thinking about this when it comes to real estate, this is the agent, the licensee who never shows up for calls, the one who avoids accountability, the one who silently drifts, the one who doesn't have a vision board or a destination or a goal in mind. They don't know where they're going. They just know that they're licensed, and then they're not doing the things that get them there. They have low grit. They have low grace. They're just floating and going through the motions. I have been the ghost before. Not sitting here in an ivory tower talking down to you. I'm talking with you. I've been the ghost. When I was the ghost, a lot of it had to deal with fear. Fear of being rejected, fear of failure, fear to take the next step, and that handicapped me and kept me in a prison of my own design. It's not empowering being the ghost, it's terrifying. not having purpose, not having passion, not having the willpower to move, you get stuck. If you find yourself being the ghost right now, if you find yourself stuck in that learned helplessness, if you find yourself stuck asking, what does it all mean? Will it even work? Here's some ideas for you. I want you to start with tiny grit. James Clear talks about this in Atomic Habits. If you've never read Atomic Habits, probably a good one to start with. What's the habits that you can start doing, the small ones that you can start adding to your schedule? And even if it's something like, hey, at the end of my day, I'm going to make one more call. At the end of my workout, I'm going to do one more rep. Maybe it's, I'm just going to walk for 20 minutes today. Maybe it's, I'm going to, you know what? This is the day I'm going to start reading 10 pages a day of a book. Something small, because we know that when we get that ball rolling downhill, we can improve and we can go. Start with the first steps. Don't overthink it. This is how we begin to move from the ghost to the guide. We've got to start small. The next one is adding the grace factor in there. That's the grit factor. Let's talk about the grace. I need you to start adding micro, again, small grace. We go big by going small. Forgive yourself for drifting. Forgive yourself. I started off this segment by telling you this isn't about shame. It's not about judgment. It's about awareness. So stop shaming yourself. Let it go, but not with excuses. Grace, guys, is permission to re-enter the arena, not stay out of it. Give yourself grace. You are where you are. Who cares? You're not behind. You're not behind. I don't care if you're 60 years old listening to this. Some of you are. Love you, mean it. You're not behind. You got gas in the tank. You got a pulse in your chest. Let's go. Forgive yourself for where you are, but not with excuses. Just understanding grace is permission to re-enter the arena. And then I need you to start anchoring it in purpose. What do you desire? What good do you want to impact on the world, your community, your family, your legacy? Viktor Frankl talks about this. He says, meaning is what can reawaken effort. Meaning is what can reawaken effort. Guys, transparently, as someone who was the ghost, as someone who used to be the gladiator, who is now the guide, a lot of it has to do with finding absolute purpose and meaning in what I'm doing. It has reawakened over the past couple years. Great effort. Go figure out what's important to you, not to social media, not to Instagram, not to what your parents think is cool. What do you want to do? The ghost returns to life the moment they take one step of grit and forgive themselves for being gone. You start to return to life the moment you start to forgive and take action. If you find yourself as the ghost here today, ladies and gentlemen, or flirting with the ghost, let's take one small action today. Let's forgive ourselves for being where we are, and let's do something about it now. The next one, The Guardian. I love The Guardian. People love The Guardian. They love it. It's romantic. It's empowering. It's even heroic sometimes. But they have low grit. They have high grace. And that, unfortunately, leads to stagnation. Carol Dweck in Mindset talks about a fixed mindset says, this is just who I am. This is just who I am. You see, the Guardian uses excuses under the banner of kindness. You are who you are because of the actions you've been taking. You are who you are because of the choices that you've been making. Everything in life in my opinion, is a trainable skill. Everything. Everything can be learned. Everything starts with giving yourself grit to begin. The Guardian holds its spot. It's stagnant. Where does this show up? Anybody ever read The Hobbit before? Yeah, there you go. My nerds out there, shout out. Bilbo Baggins, man. At the beginning of The Hobbit, he's safe. He's cozy. He refuses the hero's call. He's guarding his comfort. But you can't save the world, ladies and gentlemen, if you're sitting in a hobbit hole. When we're talking about this on the real estate, the agent, the business, the entrepreneur, the nice agent everyone loves, but who never asks for business or pushes pricing because they don't want to be salesy. I got news for you, ladies and gentlemen. You're a salesperson. That's okay. That's your job. Your job is a connector. You are going to connect people with needs to the products or services that help them. What is wrong with that? My God. Being nice, not being salesy. What if you're not helping the person because of your ego? Because of your presumed saying that I'm going to be not a good person because I'm giving them something that they need. So we stay stuck and we never make the ask. We never grow our kingdom. We never grow our business. We never grow our empire because we're too busy guarding our comfort. We're too busy staying stuck. P.T. Barnum, one of the greatest showmen of all time, says comfort is the enemy of progress. Is comfort costing you the expansion of your empire? Is comfort costing you the life that you actually desire, the growth, the thing at the end of the rainbow that you know deep down inside you actually desire, but you are unwilling to chase it because the comfort is too comfortable? Low grit, high grace. Giving yourself grace to stay in that sweet spot, being the frog that dies in the boiling pot of water. Let me explain that to my Yankees out there. If you ever want to boil a frog, if you throw it in a pot of boiling water, it's going to jump out. But if you put that frog in a pot, slowly crank that temperature up, it will die. Comfort is a slow death. It's not a painful one, but it's a slow one, and it's death. It's the enemy of progress. How do we move from the guardian to the guide? You got to step outside your dadgum comfort zone. What is one uncomfortable action you can take today? What is it? What is it? Is it having the conversations you know you should have? Is it making the direct ask that you know you should? You miss 100% of the shots you don't take. Wayne Gretzky, Michael Scott. You got to take action. You got to work the muscle. One of the ways that guardians can break this stagnation and move to the guide is by hanging around gladiators, people with high grit, and hanging around guides who can help learn or teach them to temper it. The guardian becomes the guide when compassion grows a backbone. High grace, low grit will keep you stuck. I would go out on a limb here and say the majority of our industry right now is a bunch of guardians or ghosts. You're a bunch of guardians and ghosts. It's okay if you're there, but it's our choice, it's our calling, it's our pathway to do something about it. The guardian becomes the guide when compassion grows a backbone. The next one in the bottom corner here, the gladiator, high grit, low grace, burnout. Grit without renewal leads to exhaustion and depersonalization. The gladiator is also often thought of heroic and strong and powerful and will fight and he's fierce and he's courageous and he'll go into battle and do the things. But the gladiator dies. Russell Crowe, Maximus, he didn't live a happily ever after life. He died on the field of battle. Achilles, one of the heroes of old in the Iliad, great warrior, one of the best in all of his life, but he was destroyed by his own relentlessness. If we're looking at this in a real estate lens, the agent who brags about working 80 hours a week, who posts closings nonstop, getting all the awards, but they're one breakdown, one health scare, one divorce away from collapse. It looks good on the outside, but it ain't good on the inside. Socrates describes this by saying, beware the barrenness of a busy life. Beware the barrenness of a busy life. High grit is wonderful. And sometimes, ladies and gentlemen, it behooves us to hop into the role of the gladiator. But we can't stay there. Because gladiators are bottle rockets. They burn bright, they burn hot, but it's short-lived. If you're sitting there in that gladiator mode right now, and you've been there too long, here's a couple ways that you can start moving to the guide. You got to understand, first and foremost, that rest is not weakness. It's fuel. Honor the Sabbath. Recover. Spend family time as non-negotiables. Whatever it is for you, put it on the calendar and block it like your life depends on it, because it does. You are not the Energizer Bunny. Rest is not weakness. You have a finite piece of energy each and every day. I need you to earn that grace, and then I need you to use it. The next thing I want you to do is practice self-forgiveness. Say this line in almost every room I walk into, and I'm baffled, flabbergasted by how many people it resonates with, which shows me the true pandemic that's going on inside of everyone's mind. Not every loss is a failure, ladies and gentlemen. Not every loss is a failure. And even if you do have a failure, it doesn't make you a failure. Just because you fail, it does not make you, your character, your archetype, who you are, a failure. Sometimes the most gritty act you can take is giving yourself compassion and understanding. If you are sitting in the gladiator seat and you're going hard, but you're not practicing self-forgiveness, you're not giving yourself a break, you're not giving yourself credit for how far you've come, you're going to burn out. Another thing to think about is gladiators tend to only fight for themselves. More often than not, gladiators are focused on themselves. Guides fight for other people. Start thinking about shifting from self to service. Zig Ziglar said it simply as, if you can help other people get what they want, you'll have anything in this life that you desire. Guides fight for other people. Why? Because purpose redeems grit. The gladiator becomes the guide when their fight is fueled by purpose, not punishment, not shame, not judgment. The gladiator becomes the guide when it's fueled by purpose. That brings us to our last one here, landing this plane, the guide. High grit, high grace, the growth zone. Remember, we talked about this, and if you missed it, go back and watch self-determination theory. People who are highly motivated have three main things: autonomy, mastery, and purpose. The guide lives in all three. If we're thinking about real estate, think about the agent who leads by example, who prospects hard, who holds the standards, who keeps the promises, who shows up consistently, but also forgives failures. If you want to be a guide, go find a guide to be your coach. Go find a guide to be your mentor. Go find a guide to be around. Go join their team. Go be around the people that you desire to be. The guide, having high grit and high grace, it's the sweet spot. It's being in the pocket. Brene Brown calls it strong back, soft front, wild heart. Practical habits for the guide, man. You got to have the rhythm of grit and grace. Effort before easing. Write that down, tattoo it on your brain. Effort before easing. When we do ease, you need to pause, not park. Pause, not park. Grace fuels the next round of grit. Reflection resets rhythm. Don't compartmentalize toughness and compassion. They embody both in the same breath. The guide embodies toughness and compassion. It's not either or, it's an and life, finding the gray. The guide isn't just successful, they create other guides. They find purpose in service. The guide doesn't just climb the mountain, they turn back and they bring others with them. We are here. We are meant to serve other people. I don't care. I will go to my death on that hill. I will die on that hill. We are meant to serve other people. You want to have better relationships with your coworkers, with your colleagues, with your clients? Serve them. Serve them. And don't serve them in hopes of some reciprocity or some equal giving back. Just serve them to serve them. You want a better relationship with your spouse? Serve them. You know who's not talking about that? Social media, the culture that we live in. It's all about the me, it's all about the I. You want a better relationship? Go serve somebody. When's the last time that you unselfishly served your spouse? And not to tally the scoreboard, not to do some sort of balance of power or reciprocity inside of the home, just to serve out of love. You want to move from the gladiator to the guide? Serve. Guys, we've met all four of these people together: the ghost, the guardian, the gladiator, and the guide. You know where you are. Now you know how to move. What I'm going to ask you to do is reflect on that today and this weekend. What am I going to do to move from the ghost, the guardian, or the gladiator and move to the guide? What is the one action that I'm going to take? The hero doesn't stay the ghost. The hero doesn't stay the guardian. The hero doesn't stay the gladiator. The hero becomes the guide for themselves, for their family, for their world. That's the real dance of grit and grace. It's the hero's journey. If you're sitting there as a ghost, remember you return to life the moment you take one step. I love you. I mean it. I trust that this was helpful. If you need me, email me, call me, text me. I'm here for you. Thank you for being along on this journey. Thank you for letting me express some of these thoughts and put them out into the world. Thank you for being you. Thank you for having breath in your lungs today and a beat in your heart. Thank you for just not choosing to stay stagnant. This life is yours. Let's go make it a great one. I'll see you guys on Tuesday because of Labor Day. Have a great weekend.